All right, so topic number two. I hope you guys watched the intro video to the series and how I got into bodybuilding and why you should want to get into bodybuilding. If you're watching these videos, I assume you are, or at least interested in it. So, number two, I want to cover discipline and consistency. Two of the most important factors to consider psychologically when going on this long haul, this long journey to achieve your dream physique, whether it is stepping on stage, whether it is having a healthy life for yourself, your family, your children. It's going to be a long journey. And as I mentioned in video one, motivation will falter. Motivation gets you started, but motivation is not going to be there every day, 24/7. So, this is where the elements of discipline and consistency come in. Discipline is, again, staying on your routine, doing what you need to rather than doing what you want to. Consistently is just executing that day in and day out without faltering, without letting outside factors get into your decision making processes. So, what we need to do as bodybuilders is have a set routine, a set plan, a set program that we follow, whether it's from your coach or it's something you put together on your own. And from there, we try to, or at least I try to tell my clients as much as possible to take the emotional factors out of training and out of diet. Emotion is going to let you dictate into the want factor, what you want to do, what you feel like doing today. And as we know, anyone who's trained for an extended period of time knows that not every day you're going to want to do this. And especially if you're new, there's probably going to be more days where you don't want to do it versus days where you actually do want to do it. So we want to remove that emotion. We want to be able to see the plan in front of us, know what we need to do. If it's a training day, we know we're training. We're getting into the gym. We're doing these exercises, these sets, these reps. When it comes to nutrition, we know what our meals are. We know we need to prepare them. We know what time we need to eat them, around what window. And just executing that is testing your discipline. And doing that over a period of time shows your consistency and makes sure that you are not doing things 100% dead on perfect one day and then having the next day where you just completely go off the wagon. You cannot string together, or you cannot have multiple bad days interrupting good days. So if you have two good days, then a bad day. Consistency. I would rather see someone operate at 90 to 95% of their capabilities for weeks, months, years on end versus that person who's 100%. They do everything perfectly for a couple days, then they falter. They do it for a couple weeks, they have a bad week. We do realize that mistakes are going to happen. We are human beings, we're not robots. There's going to be times where things come up in life where you might miss a meal, or anything like that, miss a training session, miss a cardio session. We will work our best to minimize that, of course. But we do realize that it happens. And we can't falter ourselves and really just beat ourselves into the ground because it did happen. Because it's going to be a domino effect from there. You miss a meal and you stress out and you're going to try to jam additional calories in, or if you miss a cardio session and then you try to blast yourself with 2 hours of cardio the next day, 99% of the time, the best way for you to get back on plan is simply that. Just get back on plan. Don't worry about what happened in the past. That's the past. And we just look toward the present and maximizing what we're supposed to be doing at that time. We don't even want to look too far into the future. We don't want to look 4 weeks down the line and say, oh, well, if I mess this up, how am I going to look there? Don't even worry about that. Just worry about executing the task at hand. And then, hopefully, granted everything else stays in place, you're going to be able to look the way you want to down the line. And you might have to make a few adjustments to the plan. But again, 99% of the time, it's not going to be anything major. You're not going to need a complete overhaul. So back to the elements of discipline and consistency and what they provide within bodybuilding. So if we're looking from a training aspect, not only just getting into the gym, that's step one, but when we're in the gym, actually executing everything to the best of our abilities, knowing that we're putting everything we can into sets, tracking our progress consistently, logging our weights, logging our reps, logging our exercise selection, keeping a very organized tally. Organization is going to be huge within your plan. If everything's laid out in front of you, whether it's electronically or old school pen and paper, you're going to be more likely to follow it than if you're just trying to think of it, exactly were my calories, what am I training today? I might do this exercise, I might not. To allow discipline and consistency to really take over, you want to have that plan. It's much easier to follow, again, when it's right in front of you. So with that, and especially with diet, like I said, emotionally, that's the number one reason. Emotions are the number one reason diets fail. If everyone was always rational about what they needed to do with their nutritional goals and they hit their meals all the time, they just cooked what they needed to, prepared it, ate it when they were supposed to the correct amounts that they were supposed to, and did not think anything further of it other than that just being your food consumption for the day, we would never have a diet fail. Everyone would look exactly how they want to. Now that's easier said than done. There's always going to be emotional factors. How do you feel? Are you hungry? Are you tired? Did you have a bad day at work? Whatever that may be, we want to try to limit it. As I mentioned, we're humans, but the more we realize that those outside factors are going to try to influence how consistent we are with our diet, we know to address them in a much better fashion down the line. So I hope I covered this pretty well in terms of discipline and consistency with both training and nutrition. These are going to be two key factors that are going to stay with you psychologically for your entire bodybuilding journey. So always keep those in mind when executing your plan.